So I got thinking about it. I'm like, there's an interesting parallel here to business as we collect the data, as we collect the DNA and we do our analysis. What happens when we start to activate that data and we start seeing something in the data that is in direct contrast to the narratives that we've told in the business for so long that have become part of our lore? And that has become, I think, a major challenge that we've seen in companies as we start to activate data. And we hear this story, we hear what they're asking. We want to be data informed, we want to use data to better understand our consumer. And I remember back very, very early on to a large retailer that we worked with that actually had defined their personas and hung up pictures or paintings in the offices of their persona customers. This is homemaker, Sue or something, and she likes to do X, Y, and Z. And we did a very thorough investigation analysis and came back and said, yeah, but actually there's these other personas that we don't see anywhere in your hallways that seems to be a very strong buyer. And they rejected it, and they're like, no, 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 no. Like, the story we've told ourselves is like, this is our buyers. Like, and so that's, to answer your question, it's one of the major challenges that we've seen is that when we start to activate the data and that data tells a different story than we've told for the past decade of who we are, what do we do? And oftentimes we've seen it create a lot of angst where we say, wait a minute, our whole model, everything we do is wrapped around this story that now you're saying may not be complete or may be slightly different. I don't know what to do with that.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I've seen that multiple times too. Like, I immediately think of a fashion retailer I worked with, God, 10 years ago or so. And like their advertising reflected who they saw their persona to, who they were marketing to. This is our customer. And then as we started to look at the data, I'm like, no, I'm seeing this. And we're like, well, we kind of know, but this is who we want to think our customer
Right.
is.
Right. Yeah, and again, going back to your question, like, what are the major pitfalls? I mean, that is a huge, huge pitfall, because when that doesn't align with the narrative and the stories that we've told ourselves, what do we do with that information? And oftentimes we reject it. And if we don't just outright reject it, what does it do? Well, it causes us, and oftentimes it's the data that bears the brunt of this attack, we lose confidence in, because it doesn't align with the way that we thought about things. And so, we could have just spent $500,000, $1 million to stand up an analytics practice. We're now ready to activate the data. The data tells a slightly different story. And now all of a sudden that entire investment is in question, because we're like, I don't know if the implementation is right. And sure, by all means, we need to question it. We need to test, like, is it right? Ask more questions. But it's a major risk factor when those stories don't align, when we start to activate the data. Another